Let's rock!
Hello and good evening, everyone out there. It's the Real Brush
Willkommen,
Guy.
bienvenue, welcome.
And good day to you, Sir Deck Knight. Thank you for joining me. I saw you already liked my posting on Instagram, so you did notice. And I could have played a game, I could have watched a TV movie. I don't know. I decided to stream a little bit later than usual on this Friday night, and I don't know, probably won't do too long tonight, but it's okay. Just a little continuing on my little bust here and having a nice beer with you guys out there. And yeah, obviously my sound also works. So how have you been? How was your day, or how is your day going? Because usually your days are still in full swing by at this time of day when it's already evening and night for me. It was another relaxing, lazy Saturday here, and I already did a little bit of painting. I already toppled over my paint water glass twice tonight. I don't know. Twice hit it with a brush. And I thought that sounds like a nice beginning for a stream. Oh, what side of family drama? I hope it was not too dramatic. And I hope everyone's fine there. So I went out a little bit today and went to the big town and went into some model store and browsed through their offers there, and yeah, came back with nothing because I have enough already. I was just kind of curious what they have, if there's anything new they have, but yeah, it's mostly the standard stuff, nothing too exciting there, so I did not feel the urge to buy anything. But it was nice, the weather was fine, and it was a bit outside, and yeah, only all the stupid folks around me were a little bit annoying. But yeah. Then I returned home and everything was fine again. And even the train connection worked today. There was not much of a delay in there, and I made it back home safely. Yes, I mean, I did spend my share of money throughout the past years, so it's quite easy not to spend money. And besides, I recently got those two new model kits that I will use for that kit bash project. So I didn't really need a new thing. What I did find interestingly enough was a model that we did not vote for, but which was in the election for what models we use in our little Discord group for this kit bash project. And so I had one of those models and could look at it and see its price, and it's basically a, I can show that to you. It is basically a crane model, which is a very nice and super detailed crane, and of course has lots of parts you can use for kit bashing. Although it's almost too good to, I don't know, rip this kit apart and do something else with it. You find that photo of it that I found today. Open that on the other screen so you can take a look at it. Let's see what screen will be opened now. I hope it will be the right screen. Let's see. Yeah, so it's this one. A huge new game store opened nearby. Oh, that's nice. So they've got the complete collection, like miniature games and stuff, and everything hobby related for painting. Oh, cheers, by the way.
Willkommen, Bienvenue.
Hey Snowy,
Welcome.
goedenavond. Leuk dat je hier bent. It's this beer tonight. And let me change over to my desk cam so I can see me in my face cam here. How are you, Snowy? And you finally have weekend, I guess. So look, I've got another Belgian beer tonight. Tonight it's the Pirat, which I already put in the fridge the last time I had the Gulden Draak. The Gulden Draak. So this is my pirate beer for tonight. It's a bit hard to see. It's a bit lighter, but it's a nice beer, and it's also very tasty, very malty. So this is quite a nice kit. Tons of parts. World's Gravel Race. Ah, okay. So where was that held, Snowy? I had no idea that this was a thing. Look, there's even a little driver in there. And of course it's completely movable. Ah, so in the Netherlands. Nice. Also, it's not the cheapest model. You can see it's almost 70 euros. But it's a very nice model, and every online shop I found, they had it on pre-order, kind of, and I was really surprised that this store where I was in, they had it lying there on the shelf, or standing before the shelf on the ground. It was probably the one left over from the last edition of it. Oh, that's a better way to see the beer, I think, with some more light on the monitor. Oh, Leuven is in Belgium. Yeah. What? No fridge for me? Yeah, this one actually was in the fridge, so I didn't had to put it in the freezer like the last time. Yeah, so let's do a little bit of painting, and I already did a little bit more painting this late afternoon after I returned home. And I shaded the skin down a little bit more. It looks a bit odd now and a little bit dirty, but of course it's still work in progress, and of course it looks way better off camera. Let me lower my camera again, so we're a bit closer to the action here. Change the lamps a little bit and see how that goes. Okay, I see. I see. U gaat door voor de koelkast. Ik versta. Thank you. Well, it's still in progress, and I'm still tweaking it around and adding new colors, and I'm now trying to make it a little bit more reddish again, because I used this this kind of pale mid brown here for a little in between shading. I wanted to have look more like in the way of his wrist is looking here, a little bit more like that. So of course, like always, it's still going a bit through the shitty looking face. And I also did a little bit more on the bird last night, of course, and just a little bit today. So I'm slowly building up these colors on him. Yeah, so that's where we are now. That's where we are at now, and let's continue a little bit with that. Also, I've got some water here for hydration. Let's move the camera a little bit so you can see my table better.
Willkommen.
Hey!
Bienvenue.
Hello!
Welcome.
Hello! Kaboom! Welcome back to my stream. How are you this nice evening? So let's see what color. Let's go back to that terracotta from last night and paint on some more of this. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's Saturday evening here, of course. I'm a little bit tired, but that's okay. My eyes are already a bit tired because I started very late. But I already did some painting today, and we'll see how long I will last tonight. Oh, what would I recommend you for starting to learn painting miniatures? That's actually a very good question. Maybe you start with something simple, some not too complicated miniature. I don't know if there's anything you already want to paint, anything you've already found that you would like to paint. Of course, you will need some paints, and there are, of course, a few starter sets out there. Oh, what's that? That's partly Italian, which I, of course, cannot read. Uh-huh. Yeah, okay. So I don't know if you if you already have some acrylic paints, if you ever acquired any artist acrylic paints or stuff like that. Otherwise, I would recommend you, I don't know, maybe buy kind of some basic tones plus a black and a white. And of course, you don't necessarily have to buy really miniature paints. You can buy all kinds of cheaper craft paints if you have any art supply nearby. And if they sell that kind of paints, and maybe 3 or 5 brushes in different sizes. And what you may want to do is browse a little through YouTube, because I know there are quite a few nice tutorials. I can't have no links for you right now, but I think there must be some beginners tutorials which can help you with the start.
Willkommen, bienvenue,
Hey,
welcome.
hey, honey, how are you? My precious. How's your day going? Are you still working? And then I would recommend you, yeah, look at some tutorials and, I don't know, try to follow guys like me a little bit more. And yeah, whip out the brush. And as you can see, I mostly put my models up on these holders here, on these handles, which in this case are absolutely free little old film photo containers. Brush wise, I would suggest and recommend, you could start with the synthetic brushes, which are usually a bit cheaper, but actually I wouldn't start with them. I would try to find some not too expensive red sable natural bristle brushes like this one here, and you can already get these for, I don't know, 3 to 5 euros, I would say. Doesn't have to be the super expensive ones like, I don't know, Winsor Newton and whatever is sold out there today. Yeah, so maybe, and then you buy a size 3, a size 2, a size 1, and maybe a size 0. Yes, natural brush for me is better because it behaves better. And most of the time with synthetic brushes, I have this, and that's not what you want to have with the tip of your brush. No matter how good I care for them, they always tend to turn into that. And that only happens with synthetic brushes for me. All the natural bristles I have work fine, and these are even very cheap ones from a German manufacturer I once got. These are red sable retouch retouch brushes. I got them on a sale, of course, but I think in general I wouldn't pay more than €5 for a good red sable brush. I don't know how the prices are in Italy there, and for how much they go from your local art supply, but yeah, that's what I would start with. And yeah, then you need some kind of primer for your model, because you always should prime your model before you paint it, just to make the paint stick better and to have a nice base to go from. I usually or exclusively base coat my models with white, and of course you could also start with black, depending on
welcome.
Depending on good night, Assyrian. Good evening. Why do I always say good night? Good evening, Assyrian. It depends a bit on your reference and your personal taste. And some say that priming a model in black is a bit easier, because when you then miss areas of the model with the paint, if you are still working on learning to paint cleanly, it's not that severe, because it's black and you don't see much of it. But if the white base coat shines through, the white primer shines through, and you leave some paint off, you will see it immediately. So You got to decide that for yourself and probably try it out. And then you attach your model to your holder. I don't know if you want to paint small miniatures or if you want to paint kind of a bust or larger models in larger scales. Let me see if I've got something else here. Bad. So, for example, I have this little Greek hoplite woman. I am in Europe actually. I'm not actually not too far away from you. I'm in Germany. So we're not that super far apart. Um so this one's still not on a holder and she's still not base coated, but she's made from some soft plastic stuff, which I actually do not like very much, and cleaning her and getting rid of the mold lines was a bit of a pain because of that material. But then again, fortunately, she was almost clean in the first place. Only the spear had a bit of mold line going around it. So that's the next thing you gotta do. You gotta, depending on the model you use, you have to clean the parts, of course, because um that's what happens in the casting process, especially with plastic models, or at least with resin models, or these kind of plastic hard PVC models. They have these little mold lines going around them, which you don't want to have in the end because you will see them during the paint process. So you need a knife, a scalpel, something like that, to clean these things off before you prime the model. And today there are modern techniques for priming, like zenithal priming, where you prime with an airbrush or out of the spray can. I usually prime with an airbrush because I have one, and it's the most economical way to go. They You can prime black and then white from one direction, so you kind of get a notion from where the light on your model distributes. But that's all very advanced. I wouldn't really start with such things, because basically you wanna have a model, you wanna prime it, and then you wanna get out your paints and start painting the different areas and try to paint them cleanly. Yeah, like really just keeping the skin color on the skin areas, like the face and the hand and everything. Yeah. And this one will already be a very advanced paint job when I started, because of what she's wearing, and that will be kind of shiny through. And I will try that. I have not tried that before seriously, so I will try it on this model once I started her. But that also is a more like a pro technique, which you don't want to start with. Basically, go ahead and paint a few models just by really covering every area very cleanly with the color you want to go there, and maybe don't even use much effects, just to get a feel for it. And I mean, later you can still go over the models again and redefine them and use some more technique on them, of course. But for a start, I would just start practicing to spread paint on your model. So like, this is a metal model I prepared, and it's white, already primed with white primer. And as you can see, I left the sword unprimed because I have already polished the metal, and that's the good thing about a a metal model. You can polish the model, and it looks, and the blade of the sword really looks like a blade, like a metal blade. So let me in between see what you wrote, Surian. Not ignoring you. See, that's what Asurian did. He finally he prepared quite a couple of models, and now he has primed them, and now he starts with putting down colors, and that's exactly the same thing you could do. Well, thank you for the follow, Fuka40. Thank you for joining the merry band. That's very valiant of you. So let's see. Yes, exactly. Your little printed snake model, which is quite nice. That would be a nice piece to start with, for example. And you can reproduce it and maybe, I don't know, try practicing a bit on it for not only one but a couple of them, and try to get used how you hold. I mean, I don't know if you worked with a brush before. Yeah, how to hold it and how it behaves on the model, and as you can see, as I use these holders, I won't need to touch the model all the time during the paint process. So Rainbow Wrangler, thank you also for the follow. Really appreciate it. Welcome to my stream. There's a little bit of information there in the chat if you like to
Bienvenue. Welcome.
read that. I'm in the process of explaining a little bit of the basics of miniature painting here right now. So as you can see, I can hold this model in my hand, and this one is a bit heavier because it's completely made of metal, which I glue together with the help of epoxy glue and super glue. And I attached it to this holder with a hot glue from a hot glue gun. So that is quite a nice steady bond until I'm finished. Then I can pry it off that again. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go into a cartoony look, again, try to find reference, try to find some tutorials and clips on that on YouTube or even here on Twitch, because I know there are a few painters that do kind of cartoony look, and even for that you will need a very clean way of painting every area in the color you want it to. So that's really something you should practice in the beginning. And the rest is practicing and just repeating what you do and getting a feeling for it and getting tips and hints from guys like me. And you got to be bold. Don't be afraid of anything. If you get yourself, I don't know, some cheap gaming miniatures maybe from your local hobby store or online, whatever. There are always some sales and offers where you can cheap models you can start practicing on. So you may not want to start with the models you really desire to have, but start with some cheap pieces for practicing. And I don't know, maybe you have I don't know if you have a gaming store in your town where you can go and maybe they offer you something you can work with and start with for practicing. I mean, even these models made of the plastic stuff, they are not that expensive and they have a very convenient size to start with. You could also start with small gaming miniatures, of course. So let's see. Rainbow Wrangler, hello, and thank you for saying hi here. Yes, I am. I'm definitely a fellow artist and mini painting enthusiast. So you are too, right? That's what I take from your words. So are you a streamer too, or what are you doing? Let's have a little look here. You dabble, okay. So you don't use a brush? Kaboom, for the color, what colors do you suggest? Well, basically, acrylic paints, I would start with these. I wouldn't go for oils. They are way more complicated. And of course, acrylic paints you can acquire cheaply in the local art store. As I said before, don't necessarily have to be like miniature paints because they are usually much more expensive and there's less paint in them. If you can find stuff like this, what's going on here? So if you can find stuff like this, that will be much cheaper. These are rather quite cheap craft paints I use. I really like these. I really enjoy working with these, and there are different brands there. Exactly what Rainbow Wrangler says. And yeah, then you are basically good to go. Of course, you will need some little glasses or whatever, and some tap water for the brushing. And let's see. Deck Knight said thin your paints. That depends a bit on the paint, of course, but usually you should be ready to thin these paints a little bit. Don't get them too pasty and too thick on the model. Rather paint 2 or 3 layers of thin paint and slowly build the paint up than to just smash on one thick layer of paint, and that will obscure all the details on the model. And of course you don't want that, because if you have intricate details like the feathers on this bird here, you don't want to fill all those details up with your paint. And if you have the chance, be sure to follow a few discords, and if you can, make photos of your work and post it regularly and ask for critic and ideas and tips. So I guess you will learn the basics in no time. Yes, I mean, of course I'm using these goggles because my eyes are getting old and I'm getting farsighted, and I can't see shit without them in front of my eyes. I mean, I see there's a model, but I can't really see the details anymore, or not much of them. It's not enough to really paint this model. It's basically like you see it now when the autofocus doesn't focus on it. So that's that's actually a nice example for what I see. But the moment I put on the goggles, this happens. So that's way better than having no focus on the model. Yeah. And these you can get online. This is an older model which is a bit smaller, and I combined that with newer lenses because they have some more. They're a bit rounder and they have a better field of view. And this one, as you can see, I broke and already repaired myself up here because I broke off the little plastic piece that holds it. So this is basically a complete customized model I have here, and I also attached a reading glass down here with some wire, so that's why it looks a bit strange, but it works perfectly because these through these I can see the model, and with these I can see all the paints on my desk in focus. So you have to use a few tricks. And I'm a very handy guy, so I have no problem in utilizing stuff to the way I need it. Yes, and that bird is still in process, and that bird belongs to, as you may have read in my title, the Old Man in the Sea, which is this fisherman bust I recently acquired. It's a 3D print from an STL, and I'm working on the skin right now. And it's called The Fisherman's Friend, and obviously the fisherman's friend is the bird, and you will come to rest on his shoulder once everything is painted. And he also has a harpoon in his other hand, so that will be glued to his wrist there later on when it's painted. Yes, and it's a very cool, very, very characterful model, and the skin is sculpted very nice. It's nice, old, worn-out, suntanned skin of a man who lived by the sea all his life, and he's smoking a little pipe, and he's got his long hair, which is just a gray base coat for now. Yeah, so but also the model was base coated in white, and the print itself is kind of a very light white resin, UV resin. So this overcasts completely by my lights here. So the details were very hard to see before I painted this. Now you can see way more of it. And this arm was also a single piece, which was glued on here, where that band with a seashell is attached. And right now I'm building up the skin color by painting in. Let's see if the focus finds the table. Yeah, there it is. By painting in different colors which you wouldn't really think of at first, like turquoise and this violet here. I painted in, and also for the shadows, this olive green here. All these are colors that naturally appear in your skin if you take a closer look at it, especially over day outside in the sun or so. You will find all these colors back in your skin. Like my veins, they have this slight hint of turquoise under the skin, yeah, and there's olive green in the shadows, and of course there's a lot of red. I also, where do I have it? I also use this a little bit pale desaturated mid red tone, which is almost a little bit magenta. Yeah, so as you can, I hope you can see in the face, I painted that a little bit to the nose and in the eyes, and so I'm slowly building up here at the wrist. And because you see when you look at your hand and you see your knuckles, they have this red in them a little bit, and then there's, when I bend my fingers like that, you see the bones pressing to the skin from underneath. Yes, Snowy. Have a nice Saturday evening. Enjoy your time and have a good night later on. Thank you for dropping by and saying hi. I hope to see you soon again. Bye, my friend. Actually, cheers, my friend.
Drink, take, house, girls!
I have to be slow on that beer because it's a Belgian beer that's very strong. And I want to last a bit tonight on stream. Yes, Father Ted. And I thought this was appropriate for a little toast. And I love that show. Although I only discovered it very, very late, long after it had its run on TV, and it was never shown in Germany here, of course. So, yeah. A little, maybe, at least a little. I also have some water for hydration, and I don't know if you noticed under, wait, there, down there in the corner, there's a text running through. These are some commands you can enter in the chat, because I have no redeem and no channel points yet, because I'm still not through the still haven't gone through the affiliate process, though I could do. Yes, I'm German. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Ja, das tue ich. Yes, I do. Ah, okay. Nice. So, And there's also a drink command in there and a kampai command and stuff like that. So if you're lazy and like to tease me a little bit, you can try out these commands until I finally get my channel points somewhere. What, you're up near Hamburg? Okay. Oh, so you actually live in Germany? Well then, Prost to Hamburg. I'll be in Hamburg in about 1.5 weeks probably. Doing a little bit of holiday up there. But I'm still working on the plan, so that'll take a while. That's nice. For your love, you went to Germany. You moved to Germany. Oh wow, that's nice. So these things do happen actually. Well, congratulations for that. So what I'm doing right now, I pick up some of the paint just with the tip of my brush. Yeah, so because that's very important to care for your brush. And let's see if there's any focus in that camera tonight. As you can see, there's only paint in the tip of the brush. What, Army Painter are expensive? What do you mean, Army Painter brushes or colors? Paints? I don't know. I've not bought any Army Painter stuff yet. So you gotta see online. I think they're around the same prices as all the other miniature brands, and they're actually quite nice paints, I think. And they also do some quite good brushes there. But I have no idea how the prices are because I never bought them, and I actually have a few Army Painter brushes here. I don't know where, but I had a few of these. But only because I'm acquainted to the German company that produced the Army Painter brushes for many years. So I got a few of these. That's why I know that they are very good, because they were produced in Germany and they're red sable brushes. I don't know how they are right now currently, because mine I have for a few years now. So yes, I have some Da Vinci brushes here like these, but these are some of the aforementioned synthetic brushes, and when you buy them they look very nice and they have great tips, and yeah, but I don't do much with these. I really only paint with them. I just clean them in water and I take care for them like I do for the rest of my other brushes too. And still they, yeah, turn like this very, very quick. And the other day on stream, somebody gave me the tip to always put them as long as they still have their tip after cleaning them. Gotta put some brush soap in them and then, yeah, kind of form the tip, which of course doesn't work with this one anymore because I will never get this one straight again. So, but this is actually a process I don't do with my normal brushes. I just care for them and am carefully, and that's why I only use some paint on the tip, because I don't want the paint to creep up in the bristles into the ferrule, because once there's a paint build up there and it dries, it will splice up your bristles, and then you will ruin your brush. So always take care to clean your brushes, and you will have good use of them for quite a while, especially when you buy some kind of mid-priced red sable brushes. Okay, so what are they? Are they synthetic? Those nail art brushes? I've heard of these before. I mean, I have a big stock of brushes, so I'm good with this. And they keep their tip. That's interesting. Maybe I should try these one day. So let's see, did I miss anything here? Oh, so I see you met through Star Citizen. Okay, that game that will never be finished. Oh, also, I would recommend not to attempt any non-metallic metal paint style at first, because that's a very advanced technique, and you have to really know your basic painting techniques first, like how you shade things, how you make transitions and stuff like that. And I mean, you can do lots of good things with normal metal paints. You have to take a few precautions, of course, because when you use metallic paints, always use separate water for them. Never mix that with water you use for your normal paints, because then you will get those metallic pigments into your normal paints, and you will ruin your normal paints, and in the end you will have metal pigments everywhere.
Bienvenue.
Yeah, and that's what you don't want to. Hey Urban, hello, good evening, sir. How are you today? How nice that you dropped by. Yeah, so you've got to be super careful not to get any of your metallic pigments into your normal paints, because that will ruin your paints. Yeah. You're looking at Aber Colors, okay. Is that a brand name? I don't know this name. I know on Amazon, for example, there are a lot of cheap Chinese acrylic paints turning up lately, and I have no idea how they are. I wouldn't buy them because of the fact they are all produced in China, and I'm trying to avoid as much made in China as possible. Of course, you can't really 100% avoid that, but I'm trying to buy as less as possible from China. Sometimes you can't. Yeah, sometimes there's no other way. But for example, these paints, like the Aline paints I have here, these are made in the USA. They're very good craft paints, and they're also not too expensive. You will find, I don't know if there are any hobby and craft paint brands in Italy. Yeah. Then you have Vallejo paints, for example. You can use these, and these Americana paints, that you can get on Amazon are actually very nice too. It's drop your stuff day today for me, so let's just get this paint up from the table again. There is my little thing I can use for that. Let me save that paint. Don't waste everything. These little accidents can happen, and they're also happy little accidents, you know. But then again, there's so much paint in these large bottles that if you lose a little bit, it doesn't really matter too much, as long as you don't spill the whole bottle on your desk. Yes, exactly. Fantasory acrylic paints. So have you found out where they are produced? Because that again sounds to me like a Chinese brand, and that will probably originate in Chengdu like all the rest you can get of these paints on Amazon. Aline's brand color. Yeah, wait a second. I have a few of these, and like my basic skin tone I also used on the Fisherman. That's this one here. And see, there's even Acrylverf. There's even Dutch on this. German. Acrylicos. I guess this is Spanish. Acrylics. Ah, okay, so you have them for a while longer. Yeah. So this is actually one example of one brand. Very good paints are also the Duncan acrylic paints, bisque stain. And they even offer some kind of triad, so you get different light values of one and the same paint, like a very light turquoise, a mid-tone, and a dark, stuff like that, which makes some things easier later on if you start trying to shade your paint job and paint in shadows and stuff like what I'm doing on the skin here right now. Because of course, if you would paint this bust only in one basic skin tone, that would be a bit underwhelming, so to say. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say Duncan is better, but Duncan is a very, very good acrylic paint, even though it's not a real artist paint, but only a craft paint. But it works well for me. Yeah, and if you take a look at my Instagram, many of these models are painted mostly with simple craft paints. Look, here's another nice Aline True Lime, which is a nice, very light grassy green. Yeah, so I mean, you don't have to buy so many paints in the beginning. You could also buy kind of Vallejo paints, yeah, or these Reaper Master series I have here still. They are very old now. I think they're at least 10 years old. I don't know if they're still sold out there, but these are again miniature paints, and they will probably be more expensive if you just go out and buy these craft paints, or you try to find a little painting set. I don't know, maybe with 10 paints in it, from black to white with some nice colors in between, like basic tones like a green, a blue, a red, a yellow, an orange maybe, although an orange you can also mix again. Yeah, so you gotta slowly work yourself into that. And to be honest, what's a nice help is this color wheel you can get in the art store, which gives you a little bit of color theory, kind of what colors go well with each other on a model. Yeah, what's a harmonic combination. This one can show you that this are primary colors that work together, like the violet and the green and the orange. Yeah, and you can see what happens if you mix them with white and you mix them with black. Although I would never recommend to mix down a color with black if you want it darker. You usually you don't use black and white. You can use white for lighting color up, but a very simple example is if you want to make a light red out of a mid red and you just put white in, it will turn pink and it will not be light red. So you have to add a little bit yellow, and then you get the color spectrum back to a light red. So that's color theory. That's something you will eventually learn later. Don't make it too complicated for the start. Just get some brushes, get some paints, get yourself a few models, get some primer, and maybe you use just a rattle can with primer. As I said before, I've been priming my models for all my painting time with an airbrush. That works best for me, and you can work very thin and very good, very controlled on the model with a base coat. That's true, and the only mistake you can make is not start painting if you want it. So basically, just give it a shot and invest a few euros, and I'm sure you will be fine with under 100 euros. You will have a good start there for like 4 or 5 brushes and maybe 10 paints and a few models. You will be good to go, and then you just practice and have fun with it and watch videos and just start with it. And don't be afraid to do mistakes, because you have to do mistakes and you will make a lot of mistakes. You maybe make fewer mistakes than I did because you now have nice tutorials, which I didn't have when I started painting miniatures in the 80s. There was no internet, there were no internet tutorials, and I was living in a small city and I had to learn it all by myself, and that took me quite a while, and I had no access to the knowledge you can have today. Yeah, or just watch a stream and get tips from a pro painter like me. Yeah, so that wasn't the case back then. And as I said, if you have the chance and if you have the facilities, make photos, take pictures, post them to some of your favorite Discord channels where you know there are good painters there. And I have a Discord, so you can still join my Discord, or at least I have a part of a Discord. Yeah, you can, if you enter !Discord, you will find a link to my Discord where you can become part of. It's not my personal server, but I have a little subsection there which you can follow if you follow the instructions. Yeah, so, and of course you can always post photos of your models there, and I will give you tips and hints and advice. And we'll get you there in no time. And as you have an artistic background already, I think you will not have too many troubles with improving and learning the basic set needed to become a model and miniature painter yourself. Urban, you wonder how many of these would work in an airbrush of what color of those craft paints? Because you know, with this airbrush medium by Golden, I get you every acrylic paint work in the airbrush. This stuff is really good. You mix it in a 1-to-1 ratio with your paint, and then put in a little bit more water, like demineralized water, which I did in these little COVID test tubes I saved from those tests, and I didn't throw them away because I knew they're the perfect small paint containers, and they even have a dropper lid, so you can just drop the paint into your airbrush and then you're good to go, and that works really good. So that's another little pro tip from me. But airbrushing is a whole different story. So now I started with explaining this and totally got off course here. As I said, I take some of the paint to the tip of my brush, as you can hopefully see. Then I'll dip it in my paint water, and the water and the paint will kind of mix directly on the brush. And then I apply it to the model, and as you can see, it's already thinned down to a wash consistency. And that's the good thing about acrylics. If you mix it with water, you can make it kind of translucent. Yeah, so this way I don't just cover the model like this, because that's what we don't want, because if I would just paint it, then everything would be covered in that terracotta. But together with the water, and let me clean this brush and just take some water in it. I can just thin down that paint on the model and spread it. Let's see if I can hold this a bit better so my camera will focus. Yeah, so I can kind of spread it over the model. And while it dries, some of the pigments will pile up in some places. So while it dries, I have to clean the whole thing a little bit. For that, I clean the brush again. Make it half dry again, and now I can kind of push around the pigments that are still wet on the model. So that's kind of the way I do painting. That's one special technique I have learned and I have taught myself over many years and developed for myself. And there's a second technique which you may learn after you learn to cleanly paint all the areas with just one paint that belongs and that goes there without painting over areas, without, I don't know, maybe painting skin on the hair, or maybe if your model is wearing a green shirt, then you don't paint green from that shirt on the skin, which only is supposed to have a skin color. Yeah, so that's what I mean with clean and painting and brush control. You got to learn that. And so with these little handles, you can always have a very steady hand and can come close to your model, and still there's not much movement there, even if you don't have as steady hands as I have. Yeah, so you can still work very precise without even touching the model, because you don't want to rub off the paint again before you're finished. I mean, you don't want to rub it off when you're finished, because then you can always seal it with a matte primer or with a matte lacquer with a clear varnish. Yeah, or you can brush it with a clear varnish. There are also some matte clear varnishes offered. You can brush over to protect your paint job. And I think that's also something you can find out on the internet more about. So if you have a a shop that sells photographic equipment, they might even have these little round containers for the old analog films, from before digital photography, and they are just perfect for holders, and you can also fill them with some weight. Here are some old screws and such things, as you can see through the plastic shining through. That gives it some weight, and so it stands nicely on the table, and you can nicely hold it for painting. And again, also here I can just hold it like that and move around with the brush where I want. And it's not too bad when you put your finger down somewhere for painting to keep a steady hand. Yeah, that's all in order. In the end, everything is fine what you do, as long as you can work with it and as long as it helps you get your results. Yeah, so well, have a good night, and thank you again for the follow, and thank you for joining me here tonight. Have a good night's sleep and a nice Sunday. Yeah? See you again. Bye bye. Good night. Gute Nacht.
Bye bye.
Ooh, yes.
Be water, my friend.
Yes, exactly. And thank you for the drink. Thank you. Because some streamers tend to forget drinking in between, because all that talking will make your throat very dry. Also, it gives you wrinkles. Yes, nice, eh? I put some thought in that. Exactly. That's how it works. Thank you for showing that link. So are you still there? You are a streamer, I think. I saw that, right? So let me not only entertain you, but second. I see you haven't recently, but of course I will give you a shout out. And I will enter you into my automated shoutout list right away. So next time this will happen automated automatically. You're welcome. Always nice to meet fellow artists, of course, in this nice community. That's actually a nice idea, Surian, to separate them a little bit on your table when you play with them. Also, you could paint your regular soldiers all with red shirts because they're gonna die anyway. Are there metal bits? I thought this was all resin or all plastic. I'm sure you will figure it out and work it out. Yeah, yeah. Well, you just have to paint them in metal then. I mean, of course, it always depends on how much effort you want to put in there. Welchen Aufwand du betreiben möchtest. Klar, dass du da natürlich jetzt nicht mit NMM anfangen solltest, das dauert ja dann doch ein bisschen länger. Okay. Ja, klar. They have to be camouflaged, of course. I don't know how the rules are there, so I'm sure you will figure that out. So, Kaboom, did that answer your questions for now? Do you get a picture of how to go about that and how to start? Do you feel you have some confidence in that now? Because best thing is just to start and figure it out on the way. That's how I did it the first time I ever painted a model. And I didn't even had acrylic paints back then. Yes, maybe something like that. I mean, you could paint them camo and then kind of subtly dry brush a little bit silver or metal or bolt gun here and there. I'm not sure you probably don't have to be too precise there because it's gaming models. Unless you want to put some more effort in the bigger models and make them a bit nicer. I guess that would be a nice way to go. Oh, by the way, I could also switch on my little reference photo here, which I have for my models here. So that's basically my little ideas for the bird and for the fisherman's skin. Although this is just an AI image. But I found that quite appropriate for my idea. And let me bring that up on my screen and a little bit bigger so I see more details on that one. Also, these birds have really nice colors. They're not only black or green or whatever, they are quite shiny actually, as you can see on this group shot of them. And there's even some violet in there and some purple. And they have these nice orange faces, as you can see here. So this is quite a nice bird, I would say. So the second important and easy and basic technique you can do, which is also quite a pro technique, which I'm still using in all my paint jobs if needed, is that so-called dry brushing. I hope you're still there, Kaboom, so I can tell you a little bit of that, because that's fairly a very simple technique that's easy to learn. Let's see. So dry brushing, as the name says it, the model has to be dry, and so the last paint I applied here has to dry a bit first before I can continue with some dry brushing. But in general, dry brushing works this way. You take a brush. It can be a special brush like this, which is a bit broad. It's kind of a not a standard small round brush. And this is even a synthetic brush. As clearly stated, it's a number 6, so it's a bit bigger. And what you do is you put on some paint on that brush, then you wipe off that paint, and then you slowly and very subtly and gentle brush over your model. And of course you do that with a lighter color than what you have on your model, because you want that lighter color to rub off on all the raised surfaces and all the details. For this way you will bring out these details again. And it's a very easy but very effective effect once you've learned it and once you've tried it first. And that will join you and stay with you through all of your painting life. And I can actually show it on that bird here, because for that I will just take some light. Let's see, what can I take for this? Let's be bold and take some very light green like this one here. And then I need to remove a little bit of dry paint that has dropped in here, because that can happen, of course. So then I carefully dip the brush into the paint like this, and then I wipe it off on that piece of paper tissue again, unless there are only a few pigments left on it. And then I see if that is even visible on the camera. Let me first get some focus here. Oh, come on. Of course it won't work. Let me try something. Like always. So now I can carefully wipe that brush over the model, and as you can see, that light green and those few pigments that are left in the brush rub off on the edges of those feathers and make them stand out again. So the model itself and the paint itself gets some more dynamic. And that's what you basically do with dry brushing. You light up and highlight the details again that stand out, especially if you have structures like these feathers or like fur on a model or scales on a dragon. Everything in general that has a nice fine texture structure, yeah, or hair, like the hair on the fisherman, which is a bit too early for highlighting it, because I still need to shade it down a bit before I can put on some highlights back again. But on these green wing feathers here, and that's the other side in comparison. See, that's how it looked before, and that's how it looks after the dry brush. So we can also repeat that on the tail feathers. Again, pick up some, and you can't see it because the pictures are on the way. Pick up some paint, rub it off on your tissue, paper towel, or whatever kitchen paper you can use for that. And again, very softly and subtle brush over your model. So if you do that too much and have too much paint on your brush, you will see those brush strokes on the model, and then it starts to look a bit dirty. So that's what you don't want. So you really have to make sure that you have only very few paint left. And if that happens, what happens here right now, you can always wetten your other brush and wipe off the paint again as long as it is not completely dried. So you can clear that up a little bit and clean it up a little bit before it starts to look too dirty. So even if you do a little mistake and fumble and struggle a little bit, you can always repair this and clean it up again. So that's not a big problem there. Yeah, so that's a good solution too. Yeah. I mean that gear was used in rough terrain and rough and at every weather, and that's what it's still used today. So the important parts will be oiled and greased so they don't rust, and the rest is covered with some thick paint to protect them. But then again, it's kind of fantasy, so if you like to bring out some more details, you can still paint some parts in metallics. You don't have to be 100% authentic there, I assume. So let's try to dry brush the other side of the bird and the other feathers too. Again, very careful and lose enough of the paint from the brush. Yeah, of course they are completely inspired by World War One and the trench fights and stuff like that. And the use of poisonous gas and those masks they are wearing. And the general horror of war. A stupid thing only humans can come up with. So now you can see how I, or at least once the autofocus sets in, you can see how I put in the dynamic there and enhance those feathers pretty easy actually with some subtle dry brushing. And even if you're not there now anymore, Kaboom, you can still watch it on the VOD later when it's going online after my stream. So this will turn out quite nice later on when all the details are finished on the bird, and it will end up here on the bust. So that looks kind of nice. And of course, after you finish with dry brushing, you have to clean your brush again. Yeah, probably. And besides, these models do look quite cool. As horrible as they are, they still kind of look cool. So very important, always care for your brushes and clean them thoroughly. They will thank you for that by holding out much longer. So now that the skin is dry, we can also dry brush a little bit on this one. Let me, I don't know, take this brush here for it. It's called a stippler, but I think it's a nice one to do some dry brushing too. So I'll whip out the old light skin tone again, the pale flesh we used first, which is actually called skin tone. And again, I put some of the paint on my brush, then I rub it off again until only a few pigments are left on the brush, and you can see there's just a little bit in it in the front, maybe even too much yet still. And then I can carefully wipe over the model and highlight all those wrinkles on the skin again, and he has quite a nice paintable texture there. So, and be very careful not to take too much paint because we don't want to make it look chalky again. It's always better to subtly apply 2 or 3 layers of dry brushing with very, very few paint than just one thick layer, which you will probably see, which will be visible. I mean, of course, the highlights should be visible, but not in a way that they look like you really smudged on some thick paint there. That's what you don't want.
Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome.
Hey, Midnight. Hello, and thank you for saying hi, and thank you for the lurk. So tonight I'll probably end my stream after 2 hours because it's already a bit later here and I'm already a bit sleepy. So some of that skin tone now rubbed off on the folds and wrinkles on his skin. And that's exactly what we want. Very subtle and slowly building up. And of course I will go over all that with some more washes again to blend all that together and even those highlights a bit out. Especially if they should still look a bit chalky, even if when we are careful. And again, cleaning up the brush, very important, even though it's off cam and you can't see it. Again, I'll hold the brush like this and I twist it like this while I press the ferrule against the glass in the water. So I make sure I squeeze out every paint that might have ended up there between the bristles and the ferrule. And I can see in the water there's quite some cloud of paint coming out there. So I'll repeat this process a while until nothing more comes out of the bristles there. So I can be sure that I cleaned it good enough. And it's nice and clean again up in the bristles. So that's exactly what we want. Because brush care is very important. And to that, I'll have another little sip of beer. So cheers, guys. Before the beer gets too warm, because we don't want warm beer. Okay, so let's still continue with a little bit more skin color, and I think this time I will go back to a little bit colder color, but that's not the right one. Let's see in my other paints. Find it. Not it, that's just yellow. But you can have yellow, of course. Already. Very brownish. That's not exactly what I'm looking for. There is the one I want. On my table must be elsewhere. That's it. See, there's another one of those Duncan paints, and that's it's called, what's it called? Rosy brown, amber rose, ambre rosé. Rosiger Bernstein. So amber, yeah, that's the translation in German. So let's shake this one up nicely. And see how we can carefully apply another wash with this. See, that's also kind of a darker flesh tone, but it's also a little bit cooler than than the one I used before. See, that's way more reddish and more orangey, this one. So I will slowly close in on my target area, how I want it to look. Skin in the end, which is, I'm really also winging it here again. Try to find a right combination. But that's the good thing about painting paint on like that. You can really go crazy about on it, and that's only very thin paint that ends up on your model, so you can really paint on quite a few layers. Don't even notice that the details, they don't disappear. That's what I wanted to say. Don't make it so complicated. Doesn't really clog up the details on the model. And of course, because this skin is sculpted that nicely with the wrinkles and all, we don't want that to be hidden under a thick layer of paint. And that certainly doesn't happen the way I paint it. So as you can see, those little holes and wrinkles on the skin, in the skin on his shoulder, are still visible throughout the whole transition from the very light head of his shoulder down to under his arm and the armpit. Almost like elephant skin. I think if I had painted all that in gray tones, it would really look more like an elephant than human skin. But I like it. I really like it. That's the fun detail about this otherwise simple and not too super detailed bust model. Yeah, so this is the interesting thing about it, is the way the skin has been sculpted and what you can do with paint on it, which actually makes that paint job very interesting in the end, or at least that's what I hope. What's going on there? My crazy TV here. Damn, they're showing the fog tonight only later, after 1. I will probably already stop streaming then. So this skin is kind of slowly building up and getting details.
Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome.
Hello, Squeezo. Welcome back. There you are again. Moin, and it's only one moin. You never say moin moin if you're serious. Yes, moin at night. But then again, you can say moin all day long. Although this is a phrase that is mainly used in the northern of Germany, but it has spread over other parts of Germany too now. Okay. Do they say twice on Sylt? But then again, I haven't been to Sylt for ages, so how would I know? So what's going on? Well, it's actually been kind of 40 years for me, or even a little bit longer. So, yeah, that's been a while. So still long before the pandemic, I see. So what are you up to on this late Saturday evening? Ah, okay. Cleaning up for the winter season, right? Oh, really? Wow, still that warm? Well, I switched on my heating for the first time since last winter here in my flat today because it was really getting chilly here. So I needed a little bit of an extra temperature here. Okay. So it will stay that warm so much longer up where you are? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it was Texas, right? Now I remember. Of course, we talked about it. So many new faces here on my stream. So see the skin slowly is building up on this one now, even though it's of course very glossy right now because it has to dry. Oh, how late is it now? Oh, almost midnight. So let's keep on a little bit. Few minutes more. Besides, there's still a little beer left in my glass, so Cough, cough. Oh, let's do some more painting on the hand. I tend to forget this piece here. But of course it deserves the same attention as the rest of the skin. Otherwise it will start to look different, and then that will look kind of odd if the hand has different skin than the rest of the arm. And of course I don't want that to happen. So maybe it is time to paint on some metal to the harpoon, just to have a first layer on there and dry. And I'll probably take some very light silver for that, because I want to shade it down a little bit later. But I need to find it first. Maybe get some in here. Yeah, look, that's some very simple chainmail silver. I will start with it. And now, very important, always avoid mixing metallic particles into your paint water. And I think I'll have to clean it up a bit first, or I can work with it. Nozzle some dried paint on it. Actually, I feel that's a bit too dark for now, so I will start with an even lighter silver. When I find it, if I... It's gold here. It's not in here, so it must be somewhere here. Steel. Silver. Oily steel. Nice, but not what I want right now. That chrome silver I use that Oh, there it is. Because that's a nice Vallejo Model Air, because that's basically an airbrush paint, but of course you can also brush it on. That's called chrome, so this is a very nice, very light and a little reflective silver. So I prefer to use this for this kind of metal pieces. But of course I first have to shake it super well, because it's been in that storage here for quite a while. And there's a little steel ball in there, so that will help to agitate it. Also, that's good training. Okay, so as this has a dropper bottle, and I hate painting from dropper bottles, I will just squeeze out some of the paint right at the model, and then take a brush and spread it over the model. And for this case, in this case, I can just take some very rough brush here, like this one, because that's not really detailed what I'm doing here right now. I just want to spread a first layer of silver over it. That stuff actually covers quite well, because it has a lot of pigments in there. Pick up some more from the dropper nozzle here. And what I will then do is I will take this brush and go to the bathroom and clean it right under the tap water, so I will not get any of that into my normal paint water glass here. And the rest is actually probably wood, because this harpoon has a wooden shaft. And of course this metal, once it has dried, will be shaded a little bit more with darker metallic paints. Yes, and to be honest, I was actually thinking about I could have base coated that cormorant with some light metallic green paint. So in the end, and then wash over it with normal paints. In the end, you would have kind of a metallic shimmer from underneath. But then again, I didn't want it to paint over it again, and that's how it looks now. And it's slowly coming along. I did demonstrate a little bit of dry brushing earlier on it, because the feathers have the perfect structure for dry brushing. For very subtle dry brushing, but nonetheless dry brushing. So this one is also slowly coming to life. Yes, and I will enhance that even a bit more, because I still need to highlight a bit on his chest and the neck again, and then I will do some more darker purple washes over there and see how that goes. So I'll be in the bathroom for a moment here and clean that brush now. So there I am back again, and now this brush is thoroughly cleaned again. I know these bristles will never get well again, but yeah, it still serves a purpose for things like this, so I can still use it. And actually this one, last time I put it in the soap in the end and tried to straighten the bristles a bit, but that's the maximum and the best that will work. Also for the autofocus, as it seems. No, there we are. Yeah. And I brought some snacks because I needed a little bit to chew on. And they have nice plastic bag. ASMR. Hey, Sick Horse, there you are again. Are you finally off from work? Or are you on your lunch break? What are you up to, my dear? These are so good. See, I've got my little lunch break too here right now. Although I'll probably end stream soon because it's just after midnight. Oh, so what are you having for lunch, my dear? What's on the menu today? So let me give you a little better vision of me. Not a better version, but a better vision. Blueberry walnut salad with mango vinaigrette. That sounds delicious. Very good, very good. I actually wanted to make me a mixed salad myself today, but I was too lazy when I returned home from city, so I'll do that tomorrow. And I also have a mango chili dressing. Then your body knows what's best for you. That's good. Well, I hope not many of you are wearing headphones right now. So sorry if that was a bit loud. I hope not. So yummy and spicy. I also have these in wasabi taste. Wasabi! You know, I love that stuff. Though the other day I had some sushi I bought in town and brought with me for supper. And I completely forgot to buy some wasabi and there was nothing in there, so that was a bit meh because I love my sushi with wasabi. So I just had soy sauce and some teriyaki sauce. what I think about the new mini category. I'm not sure yet. I mean, I found quite a few new followers the last few days here, which is super nice. And again, thank you for all for the follow. If any of you are listening here right now, I don't know if that will change anything. We will see about that. I yesterday I tried to change category during stream, so I don't know if that changed anything. We will see about that, if that's even necessary, if that makes people browse a bit more specific in the categories. I don't know. I mean, I don't have so many viewers anyway. Yeah, so it's not a big deal for me. I don't know how some of the other model builders and painters think about it. I think it's still kind of a mixed bag for others. So we will see about it. As long as I don't make, I don't know, any money of it, and I'm not affiliate, and I just stream for fun and for laughs and for knowledge, it's probably okay for me. And we will see, and time will tell, I guess. Oh, and for love. You know, one of these days. Yes. So this, what I'm drinking here right now, is a very yummy Belgian beer called the Piraat, which of course means pirate. And with only one A, it would be perfect German. And it has this nice little big clipper on the label, and it has 10.5% of alcohol. So yeah, that's quite some. That's some strong beer, and it's nice. It's very malty and slightly sweet and very tasty. And also, it's at least 1 year over its normal expiring date, which is okay because these kind of beers, they don't really get bad. Yeah, they don't turn bad or whatever. Now you can see that's even more than 1 year over. So that was in July 23. But it still tastes fantastic, and there's still alcohol in there, and it still has an effect on me. Not too heavy though. So let's see if there's anyone on there. Although I think probably again tonight I will not raid anymore, because then it's getting much later. Bubbly Bushy. Am I bubbly yet? I don't know. I don't think so. I hope not. I hope not, because I don't want to get too embarrassing on my stream. Not yet anyways. I would love to leave a nice impression. Oh, thank you for saying that. You really make me go blush, and you can't see that because of the light here, but I do blush every time. Maybe sometimes just inside, but I do. I truly do. Because I'm not used to so much love in my life, you know? Not really. Yeah, I felt that way. So this is how the skin looks now. And yeah, of course the camera doesn't show all the subtle details of the color in the skin, but what? No shit? I really do appreciate that. Even though we have not even met before, and I don't know, but it's kind of mutual, I guess. Yeah, so I could also apply some more olive green again, because of course you know or may not know, this is also a color that turns up in the spectrum of our skin. Thank you, thank you. Well, it's slowly getting where I want it to be, even though I'm not really sure how to do this. I just wing it always, as I always do it, and I'm especially, pun intended, winging it on the bird. Also, my autofocus is totally winging it tonight again. You have green skin tone, okay? So, do you have a certain percentage of Martian or Vulcan blood in you? I guess hence the name, right? Well, I hope you're not too sickly, my dear. I hope you can still enjoy life. Even if part of you is Vulcan or Martian. Wink, wink. Damn, you can't even see it. I may have to change the whole face cam situation. I don't know if that's nice and convenient for you guys out there. If you see me sitting on my table like this, but the light situation is always a bit unpleasant because, of course, that's way too light, and then I have no light on my desk. Maybe I need to put on up some other lamp here. But then again, it's not so much about me, it's about the painting and everything, you know. The daytime, you mean when I have daylight from outside? Because of course I'm sitting in front of the big window here and it's south side, so yeah, no need to blind myself. That's true. That's true. Yeah, but the problem is always when I start streaming earlier in the day, then that's too early for some of you guys in the other time zones. And I don't know, sometimes my internet still acts up. Today it kind of worked again perfectly, so I'm still not sure what's going on there, and they have finally repaired it, or if they're still working on it. If they put any effort in that, but I guess that will still take a while to be solved, if ever. So basically, this what I'm doing right now with kind of subtly washing on some of the olive paint here. That's something um you could also achieve by kind of underpainting that. So kind of first painting a base coat of this olive color on it, and then paint over the skin tones to make it kind of shine through and end up in the overall color composition of that skin. But somehow I learn to do it the different way around and just apply it later into the shadows, which does work quite well, I must say, in a, for me at least, pleasing way. And of course, my general direction would be to make the skin look really. See, right now the light is changed again, and it's again looking very strange there. But to make the skin look very leathery and like that guy on that little photo up here that I put in the window. Although he has some very odd eyebrows, or at least very odd structures, which are between his eyebrows which are yet unpainted and still white, and in his eyes there are some strange lines, folds. I don't know if you can see these. You probably see now. So his kind of eyelids, I don't know, have kind of small slits in them, small lines, small cracks that almost look like sculpted in negative eyelashes there. So I'm not really sure what the sculptor was thinking about that. That's one part that doesn't look super realistic, so I don't know. I will see how to deal with that with paint. And see, that's basically the way I would see my model without my goggles. So please focus, come back. One of these days I will find me a webcam where I have a manual focus and will have no more troubles. And everything I have tried so far, as of now, is very unsatisfying, so I don't really have found a proper solution for my needs here yet. Let's have a look, because I know later on they will show the fog on my channel that I'm watching here beside my stream right now, just to have a little bit going on in the background here so it's not so quiet here. But if it's the remake version, the new version, yeah, it is, so I don't really have to watch that anyways, because that's, no one needed that. No one needed a remake of John Carpenter's The Fog. This film is perfect. Movie is perfect. Nobody needs a remake of that one. It's a bit like they would do a complete new reset of Lord of the Rings movies. I mean, I know it's been 20 years. My god, is it really 20 years? Over 20 years since the Lord of the Rings trilogy was released. And of course, I think it still had a few flaws, although I really love it today. But I don't feel they really have to remake it. And that a bit strange Amazon show, yeah. Let's not talk about that. I mean, I watched it. I watched the first season. I have not seen the second yet. And it was okay. It was kind of entertaining. And I'm not such a hardcore Tolkien fan, to be honest. Let's just say it that way. As long as it makes me chew up some popcorn and have some fun while watching, and it's not too illogical, it's okay for me. And believe me, I've seen some shit. And it has quite some production value for a TV show, I think. So when is your little lunch break over? Is it already over? Are you working again? And to be honest, and I'm very curious, because I'm sure I didn't really get it right. You are a librarian, right? 5 more minutes. Oh, so we have 5 more minutes together. Ain't that a joy? So sad we are so far apart, my dear. It's a used bookstore. Oh, that's very nice. So you know where all the books are when customers ask for a certain title, or is it just come in and browse through what's standing around in the shelves? You would destroy my life. Are you sure it wouldn't be vice versa? Yeah, could be. I actually, to be honest, I had a slight notion it could be. So I guess it has to stay quite platonic. There are some very strange cracks in this model, and I assume they are some kind of the printing process. I don't know. That are not really scars on his skin, but really, I don't know, like little lines, little cracked lines with curves and loops. And I hope I can kind of disguise them a little bit in the paint job. Part of being a grown-up, sadly. Yeah, and don't be a grown-up. I'm fighting that constantly, with more or less success, of course. And right now, or soon to be, I will have to be a grown-up again, find a new job and everything. To be honest, if someone would say, well, just sit down and paint all day, I probably would do so, because that's the most fun right now. And that's the sad thing about it. If you know something and can do something really, really good, but cannot really make enough money with it to make a living out of it, that is actually a pity. And I'm actually not the right type for self-employment and being a freelancer or something like that, because I don't like to do all that homework that's necessary for that. But never give up hope, as they say, right? So what time of day is it right now there with you, my dear? Oh, 3:30 p.m. Okay, so you actually don't have to work so much longer anymore, right? Or how many hours you still have to go? Until 7, okay. So just a mere 3.5 hours more. And is it far from where you live, or are you close by? And do you get there easy? And do you even want to talk about it here on stream? And when will you send me a friend's request on Steam? 15 minutes. Oh, that's nice. I used to go to my workplace with my bicycle. It was just 3 kilometers, so kind of 10 minutes by bicycle. So that was quite convenient. And that was even closer from when before my workplace changed. That was the double distance, but that was great because I always had to ride up a main road here, and that was a good training, and I'm really missing that. My body really misses that regularly driving to work with a bike. Yes, please do so. I mean, we were talking about this the other night, and why not try out to play some occasional games together? I mean, computer games, of course. I don't know if this will be fun or not. We will have to find out, I guess. Well, you have a nice rest of your working day and a nice evening then. I hope you can spend those hours relaxed. And thank you for staying hi in here and being so nice and kind. I'll probably soon have to stop because I don't want to get up too late in the morning because there's a stream I usually watch on Sunday mornings. A Canadian stream. And I don't want to miss it. But then again, there's still beer in my glass, so let's have another sip. Cheers, guys out there. I hope you're fine and you are feeling well and you're doing nice things and all that stuff, you know. Although I almost feel like I could have a second one of these. So guys, what are you all up to tonight or this day? Because I always say tonight because it's tonight for me, but of course for many of you it's not tonight. It's more like in the afternoon. Yes, I'm kind of living in the future. And still I can't tell you the lottery numbers. I'm really sorry. I'm not allowed to. Because then I would have to kill you and that would be nice. Not nice. Nice, no, that wouldn't be. Certainly wouldn't be nice. So anyone out there still awake?
Let's rock!
Actually, I'm a little bit proud of that because that's actually a mix of 3 different sound clips I put together there. From one of my favorite sci-fi movies. Well, it was quite sunny here today too, so I spent a nice afternoon outside. Close but no cigar. But there was also something about a buck hunt there, so what's your second try on this one? Although this is also a very, very cool sci-fi movie. I really like Starship Troopers. Yeah, that was exactly the sound of a smart gun used in Aliens by Vasquez and Drake. And I do remember watching this movie back in the theater for the first time and the amazement I felt because of all that super cool hardware and the whole story and how James Cameron took that Ridley Scott story and turned it into something even bigger and in a perfect way, in a perfect sense, not trying to recreate the first movie, but making it into something new and more kind of action orientated. And yeah, it's just the perfect sequel in my eyes, for my taste. And back then, I was so desperately hoping for model kits from that show, but they only returned long after. And of course, today there's so much more stuff, and you can get aliens and print out stuff and basically build you a complete space or your complete marine armor yourself to wear for cosplay, and that's awesome. And there are nice games out there, and yeah, all those mostly not so incredible sequels we've seen lately. And I have not seen Romulus yet. I'm not sure if I really want to watch it after all that other stuff that really did not work for me anymore. Azurian, gute Nacht, schlaf schön, sanfte Träume. Wie gesagt, ich bin hier auch bald soweit. Noch ein bisschen Bier und einen kleinen Snack und ein bisschen malen und dann war es das für mich auch. Fast 1 Uhr hier. It's almost 1 a.m. here, so. And that beer now is already empty. Time for some more snacks. Mm. To be honest, it's actually quite contemplating to slowly work on that skin and slowly work in different colors and building up all those shadings and transitions. That's a lot of fun. And of course, as always, if you have any questions about the things I do, if you want to understand a few things better, or I don't know, add a few things, or in generally just say hi and let me know that you're there out there. Well, just say hi and just fire at Will. Although I know that Will probably not be too happy about that, but that's how the story goes. It's always poor Will. Or in other words, danger Will Robinson. Although I must say I never really grew up with Lost in Space. Or, of course, you sci-fi aficionados out there will have recognized that little quote I just did there. Because Lost in Space, the original TV show, was never shown on German TV. Because the German stations and German TV did not really had a lot idea about science fiction, so they only showed the occasional Star Trek and some Space 1999, but avoided to buy all those super cool sci-fi shows I'm sure I would have loved to watch as a kid on TV. Which of course I made up for in later years. And of course today you have access on so much stuff that it's probably almost too much again. Too much to choose from. Yes, Bernd das Brot. Awesome. So welcome to some German TV culture there. Although Bernd das Brot is not the worst invention, I must say. And and Kika is showing Bernd das Brot all night when they're finished with their normal broadcasting times. And I even saw Bernd das Brot once live on stage years ago on a convention I went. Because Bernd das Brot's inventor was there with his own band on stage, and at some point, suddenly Bernd stepped out on stage and started to sing a song. And it was amazing. So much fun. Okay. And let me guess, it was not able to clap its hands. Thought so. So as you can see, I try to avoid to wash over his shoulder blades much, so it looks a bit like he has jumped into a puddle of dirt and Only his shoulders were barely sticking out. But once that all that paint is dried, I hope it looks a bit better. Okay, so actually it's almost it's a 1:45 a.m. here now, and it's time for me to slowly enter dreamland. So once again, let me say thank you, and my only beer for tonight is also finished and empty. It was great having you here on this little spontaneous late night stream for me, because I only started at around 10 p.m. and not earlier, but I was following the stream earlier, and so I don't know. Earlier I didn't even felt like streaming tonight, but then suddenly I said, hey, why not? I want to do some painting, so why not invite a few friends in and join me here? So that's what you did. And yeah, I guess no raid tonight, because things would get even later then. So once again, thank you very much. And let me have a check here. So Rainbow Wrangler, Puka 40, and yeah, that's all. That's 2 new followers tonight. Thank you. Very much appreciated. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed your stay here, and hope to see you soon again in the future on one of my next streams. So never forget.
Let's rock!
Enjoy the rest of your day, or have a good night wherever you are, and have a good morning, or have a coffee. And see you soon again. Bye bye. Exactly.